What is good, yo? It's your boy Ty, back here with another video. And in this video today, guys, we are going to be watching, and I'm going to be giving my breakdown of 3 NBA players and how they are at NBA 2K22 MyTEAM. Basically ranking them compared to their peers. Now, there's going to be 3 main guys. We got Scotty Barnes, who, I don't know how much he really plays. We also got Terrence Ross, who does stream 2K quite frequently. And then we also do see Gary Trent Jr. Before we dive any further into it, guys, if you are new to the channel, man, make sure to smash that subscribe button as we are on the road to 110,000 subscribers. Now, the first guy we're going to be watching and breaking down is Scotty Barnes. Now, again, I don't necessarily know how much Scotty Barnes plays. You look at his team, I see Johnny Davis, I see Andre Iguodala. It doesn't look like Scotty Barnes, has that much knowledge of my team or plays the game too much. Now, look at the opponent he is playing, okay? And the shots he is shooting. Now, when I look at Scotty Barnes and the way he plays the game, okay, one thing I will say, I've watched it, I've broken down some film of him. He does like that leak out. So you guys saw it in that last possession. He'll get a rebound and throw it deep. He contests, and look, Andre Iguodala is already releasing. He likes those leak outs. Now, the problem with Scotty Barnes and his gameplay is if he doesn't score in transition, guys, offensively, it's pretty rough. Okay, it is pretty rough. And from what I've watched, defensively, most of it, from what I watched, was on ball. Okay, obviously that possession he off-balled a little bit, but for the most part, he does on ball, and he does use the meter. You guys saw that last position. I don't think he meant to shoot that, but he did indeed shoot it. But just, that's what he does. He just mashes, man, and you'll see a possession and possession again. He'll get the ball, and he'll try to mash. You guys can see he's even drinking something. I just feel like Scotty Barnes, when it comes down to the people and the players that play my team, I just feel like he doesn't care or doesn't really, have that prior background that maybe the other guys featured in this video may have. I will say the leak out is something Scotty Barnes does have in his arsenal, man. He likes leaking out. But just watch his offensive possessions. Okay, he knows how to burst. Okay, he knows how to burst a little bit right there. But overall, guys, offensively, it's not good. And the bad part is defensively, it might be even worse. Obviously, I get he's playing with himself, and his mashing ability is great, but using the meter, not something I like. And overall, guys, my final analysis with Scotty Barnes is this. Okay, his opponent that he was playing was not very good. And then you can just keep advancing. Look at the score of this game. Scotty Barnes should absolutely be flooding his opponent, and it's just not what's happening. Okay, there's some pick and roll action in here, but when it comes down to it, he's looking to do one thing and one thing only, and that is just mash his opponent, which I just don't think can lead to continued success. So I will break down where I do have him ranked out of all 3 guys. From what I'm seeing right now, when it comes to 2K, I'm not too impressed with Scotty Barnes on current gen. Now, shout out all these guys. Shout out Scotty Barnes, T-Ross for these. Next week, we're going to watch Terrance Ross. And Terrance is probably the guy I've watched most of because he, does stream decently consistent. But here's what I've noticed with my breakdown of Terrance Ross. Obviously, when the T-Ross card first came out, he didn't love him in general. But from what I've watched from Terrance Ross, he gets a little more gritty. Okay, first thing I noticed is on the defensive end of the court, he does have a full court press in his arsenal. Now, whether that makes him better than Scotty Barnes and what I've seen, I don't necessarily know. For T-Ross, he tries to do too much sometimes, as you guys saw, and that he tries, the spin moves, which in 2K don't really work too well. It's not 2K19, in which the hop, step, cheese, was a real thing. But I do feel like on the defensive end of the court, he is way, way, way better than this Scotty Barnes we have seen. And I feel like for T-Ross, obviously he's running Jason Tatum here, who's not great. But I feel like his knowledge of my team in general is a lot better. And I just think that helps him out, He runs most of the time, a better squad than we saw with Scotty Barnes. And, just like that, off-balling, baiting that. He didn't get the steal, but he was in there baiting lanes. And the big thing that I noticed is offensively for a guy like Scotty Barnes, he was pretty, set on one thing. Whereas for Terrance Ross, this is his offense, okay? He 5 outs. He tries getting in the paint, drawing more defenders, you know, and making the opponent's corners drop. Right there, opponent's corners drop, and he knocks down the 3 ball. Now, he's still running the shot meter, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm hoping one of these people has their shot meter off, but it's not really the case. One thing I have noticed with Terrance Ross, he can't really dribble, right? And I feel like if Terrance Ross could dribble, he would be a lot better because that's really the only thing he lacks. Defensively, he's not bad. He could be a lot better if he mixed up his off-ball looks. He basically just off-balls 24/7. And he could be a lot better at that, you know, if he really had it in his arsenal. But for what I'm seeing is the 5 out is there, okay? He's turning the ball over a little bit too much here for my liking. But the 5 out is there, okay? The knowing when to take shots is there. I feel like as an overall player, Terrance Ross is levels above a guy like Scotty Barnes. Plays on next gen, 2 completely different games. But I definitely think when it comes down to it, you know, we'll advance the score here. Terrance Ross has that advantage over a guy like Scotty Barnes. Right there. Now, I know he didn't green it, but he recognizes that he has a crab, right? All you need to do, little hesitation, you know, size up move, and you might get a full crab. But just that he's taking that shot, I can see the MyTEAM mindset there with Terrance Ross. Last up here, guys, we are going to be watching Gary Trent Jr. Shout out to my guy RCA the Great. The link to his YouTube will be down below in the description. Make sure to subscribe to him, as well as following Scotty Barnes and Terrance Ross. Their Twitches will be down below in the description as well. So, this is my first time, not my first time. Before this video, I broke down, I have notes of each player. But this was my first time of watching Gary Trent Jr. And let me tell you guys, I was thoroughly impressed. From top to bottom, I was definitely impressed with what Gary Trent Jr. does. Now, RCA is running Bob Nedelecki at the center. On next gen, you got to recognize that and go to the well. And he did that on the exact first possession. Now, here's what I don't like. Okay, he is in a zone. And you guys might be like, okay, Ty, why do you not like that? Man, if you run a zone against the majority of the MyTEAM community, you're going to get fried. And so I don't really like that. But offensively, calling screens, 300, getting user rebounds, kicking out for a green. Those are impressive things that we have not seen with Terrance Ross or Scotty Barnes. I mean, these things are recognizable. Here's the thing, even in his zone, he's getting active. He's playing lane. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Do I like the zone? No. I think, you know, there are better options. But he is getting active in it, you know, trying to get bump steals, rotating 24/7, playing very active zone defense. In past years, it might have worked. Obviously, this year, it's hard to play zone. But from what I'm seeing, I mean, no, this is a hidden attribute. Watch his Giannis. He knows how to flare his Giannis out to the corner. I don't know if Terrance Ross or Scotty Barnes does. You know, he passes it to Giannis, the lead passing, passes it to the sideline. That is impressive, man. I'm telling you, early on watching Gary Trent Jr., it's like he, not to say he's a comp MyTEAM player, but very just a lot better. So, I mean, RCA is a solid player. And so RCA only being up 6 in the second quarter, something to know. Now, here's when things turn, okay? Gary Trent Jr. tries to get out of his own press, which, I mean, look, I respect it, but you got to know what you're doing. Again, right there with big artists taking advantage of the mismatch. It's what you're seeing him do a lot of mashing, which is offensively, I don't want to say it's all he has because he does run a pick and roll and can move a little bit, but it's not looking good. And here's the problem with Gary Trent, man. When RCA went and pressed him, he was an absolute disaster. When RCA switched it up and pressed him, Gary Trent Jr. just is throwing the ball all over. I mean, he has no structure to his offense right here. He's just trying to mash every possession. And so, look, I feel like Gary Trent Jr. has more to his game than the other two guys. But by no means is he perfect. I do think he is very solid. And, you know, you can see the spacing is good. He knows a little bit about what he's doing. He still runs the shot meter. Not great. He's still, you know, not great offensively from what I can see. Shooting another red there. And he just gets sped up here. I mean, and it's a problem. You know, defensively, obviously, just sitting on the corner off-balling. But you got to do a little bit more. Because RCA is going to recognize that. You're not doing anything defensively. He dotted it. And eventually just took advantage of you. I mean, that's really what happened. It was a close game for a while. Gary Trent eventually gets sped up. And then RCA is on the run. I mean, that's what happened. What was a close game really turned into a disaster. But from what I saw out of Gary Trent Jr., knowledge of 2K is solid. He can dribble a little bit more than the past couple of guys, runs a pick and roll. He loves the mash, which on next gen is basically all you need to do. For me, he got turnover happy. He got sped up, and that really led to the flood. He turned the ball over, gave up too many threes, but overall, I was impressed with Gary Trent Jr. So that leads me to my final opinion, guys, in which I am going to rank all of these players. We're going to start off from the bottom, okay? Coming in at my third best player, the bottom is Scotty Barnes. Why? I just don't feel like Scotty Barnes plays 2K. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it was just like a stream 2K gave him some VC, maybe something like that. Knowledge of 2K didn't seem to be great. Playing the game, he still plays on current gen. He liked to, leak out, which on current gen is good. But that's really the only promise I saw, which was the leak out. That's why I give his offense a C rating, his defense a D- rating. Overall, D+ for Scotty Barnes. Next up, we do see Terrance Ross, a guy I supports me in the MyTEAM community. I absolutely love being in his streams, interacting with him. I think it's a massive W that he does stream. Terrance Ross, the biggest downside in his game is the lack of ability to dribble. If he could dribble a little bit more, his MyTEAM knowledge is good. He 5 outs. He knows that threes are better than 2. He kicks out to the corners, knocks down small threes. He's got a lot going for him. I think offensively, gonna give him a B- just because of the lack of ability to dribble. Defensively, I'm gonna give him a B. He knows that off-balling is better than on-balling. He does need to take that next step of playing good off-ball defense, because right now, he does get fried a little bit too much for my liking. Last, but certainly not least, coming in as my number 1 player in my team is Gary Trent Jr., number 1 NBA player that does play my team. Look, offensively, I'm not going to sit here and say he's great, but he does the little things. Knows how to fan out players to the three-point line. Knows how to dribble. Runs pick and rolls, which I think is the most productive offense. Still don't think his offense is great. He still uses the meter, doesn't take the best shots, and he did get sped up. I give his offense an A- rating. Good, but not great. I do think it's better than T-Ross's. Defensively, look, the zone was okay, but you need to be able to play man-to-man defense like that, okay, where you're in the lanes, getting bump steals, rotating, all those types of things. I'm giving that an A- as well, where, overall, it was solid, but just not great. So Terrance Ross, I'm giving him a B rating. For Gary Trent Jr., I'm giving him an A-. I do think in a game against each other, Gary Trent Jr. would be the winner. Gary Trent Jr., the best overall NBA player to play my team. Terrance Ross coming in at number 2 with Scotty Barnes at number 3. That's going to wrap it up for my video today, guys. Hopefully each and every one of you guys did enjoy it. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.